The Vanishing of Lakewood Bride, Episode 2. Lakewood had stopped celebrating long ago. The flowers from the wedding that never happened had wilted. And beneath the calm surface of the lake, Detective Laura Monroe could feel it, the weight of a truth buried in silence. The photograph found under the dock had changed everything. Emily Carter, smiling beside an unknown man. A man who didn't exist in any of Daniel Reeves' stories, or in Emily's social media, or even in her family's memories. Who was he, and why did Emily hide him? When the photo was enhanced, a reflection appeared behind them, a signboard that read, Silver Pines Cabins, a place 20 miles outside Lakewood, a place Daniel claimed he'd never heard of. Detective Monroe drove out there herself. The cabins sat empty, shuttered since the start of winter. But inside cabin 3, she found something. A wine glass, half full, and a lipstick stain that matched the shade Emily wore on her wedding day. It was proof that Emily had been there, but not alone. The owner of the cabins, an elderly man named Frank Miller, told police he'd rented the cabin to a quiet couple who checked in under the names E. Carter and M. Hale. But there was no record of a Matthew Hale in any nearby town. Then came another twist. The payment for the cabin was made through a bank account recently opened in Emily's name, but the signature on it didn't match hers. The deeper Detective Monroe dug, the stranger it became. Emily's phone, left on her bed, had an unsent message drafted the morning she vanished. It read, "Meet me at the lake. We can't keep lying." Was she planning to elope? Was she blackmailing someone? Or had she finally uncovered a lie too big to survive? Meanwhile, Daniel Reeves, the heartbroken groom, wasn't as innocent as he appeared. Financial records showed he'd taken out a large life insurance policy on Emily just 3 weeks before the wedding. And his business, the one everyone thought was booming, was nearly bankrupt. Detective Monroe confronted him. Daniel swore it was all coincidence. He said Emily knew about the policy, that it was for their future. But when asked about the cabin, his voice cracked. "I don't know anything about Silver Pines," he said, eyes trembling. The detective wasn't sure she believed him. The next morning, a fisherman reported something floating near the reeds by Lakewood Pier. A piece of fabric, lace white, delicate, a section of Emily's wedding dress. Tests confirmed it had been underwater for days. Attached to it, a small silver pendant with the initials MH, Matthew Hale, the name from the fake cabin booking, the name that didn't exist, or so they thought. Detective Monroe was now certain. Emily's story wasn't about a runaway bride. It was about a woman trapped between two lives. And one of those lives had just turned deadly. The truth surfaces at last, but not everyone will survive it. Morning broke quietly over Lakewood. Fog drifted across the surface of the water, and for a moment, it almost looked peaceful again. But beneath that calm, the lake still held its secret. Detective Laura Monroe watched as diverse resurfaced, their faces pale, their eyes heavy. They'd found something, a car, an old blue sedan registered under the name Matthew Hale. Inside it, a purse, a wedding veil, and a body. Dental records confirmed it. Emily Carter. But this wasn't an accident. The doors were locked from the outside. The driver's seat was empty, and the brake line had been cut. Detective Monroe stood silently by the water's edge. The town of Lakewood had its answer, but not its peace. Because if Emily was dead, who was Matthew Hale? For days, the name haunted her, until she realized it wasn't a name, it was an alias, built from initials that had appeared before, MH. The same initials engraved on the silver pendant found with Emily's dress. Cross-referencing Old Town records revealed something chilling. 10 years earlier, a Michael Hale had gone missing from a neighboring town, a construction worker who'd once been accused of arson. His body was never found, but his car, a blue sedan, was re-registered under Emily Carter's name. It didn't make sense until Detective Monroe found a hidden folder in Emily's old laptop. Encrypted emails sent under the pseudonym MH, all addressed to one person, Daniel Reeves. The messages were short, fragmented. He knows. Meet me at the lake. Forgive me. Those same 3 words, the ones she left on the note the morning she vanished. Emily had discovered that Daniel wasn't just bankrupt. He was desperate, and he'd planned to use her family's money, the insurance, the wedding, as a way out. When she confronted him, he panicked. He begged her to meet him at the lake to talk things out. But she wasn't the only one there. A witness later came forward, a fisherman who'd seen Daniel's car parked by the water that night. He described shouting, then a splash, then silence. Daniel Reeves was arrested at his parents' home the following morning. When police searched his garage, they found a coil of wire, a pair of pliers, and traces of brake fluid on his gloves. He never confessed. He didn't need to. The lake had already spoken. In the end, Lakewood tried to forget, to patch over the wound, to move on from the tragedy that had defined it. But some stories don't fade with time. They echo. Emily Carter's story isn't just about love or betrayal. It's about how secrets, when buried long enough, find their way back to the surface. And sometimes, the calmest waters hide the darkest truths. This has been The Vanishing of the Lakewood Bride. I'm your host, and this is Echoes of Grey, where the past never truly disappears. It only whispers,